AskReddit by blank blank. What outdated or obsolete tech are you still using and are perfectly happy with? Printers that could print without a subscription. I have a brother color laser that I got about 4 years ago. It's a fucking champ. I ordered a charger for my old DS Lite. Came out 2006. Last week and damn did I miss it. The DS Age of Empires. Old Pokemon games, I'm having a blast. DS Lite was peak Nintendo handheld, emo. I collect pink Nintendo handhelds, so I have 2 of them. I bought one, Coral Pink, in 2007 with my first paycheck, and I bought the other, Metallic Rose or whatever, in 2012 when I worked at GameStop. They both still play like they're brand new. And I love the GBA slot so I could still play my faves like Golden Sun and do the trade from Gen 3 to Gen 4 in Pokemon. Adobe CS4. Screw the monthly subscriptions. Screw monthly subscriptions. My Sega Genesis and PlayStation 2 Slim are still plugging along fine and still are fun. I have all the PlayStations, but if I were trapped on an island with only one console, PS2 would be it. So many great games that beat the shit out of what we get today, plus compatibility with the vast majority of the PS1's amazing library. Don't forget to tape down the laser ribbon cable if you haven't already. Over the years they are starting to stick up and scratch discs. Physical buttons. Not everything needs to be touchscreen for goodness sake. I feel like it's safer to have car radios that have buttons instead of screens. It's easier for me to push a button to change the music while keeping my eyes on the road. I can't do that if my car has a screen. It increases distracted driving incidents. 25-year-old Honda Accord with a manual transmission. 23-year-old 4-cylinder Accord here. Drove it off the showroom floor in April of 2000. Knock on wood, the damn thing just will not die, and I've never done anything to it beyond basic maintenance. It's got hail damage, the paint is fading, new rattles pop up every day, and everyone keeps asking me when I'm going to get rid of it, but at this point I'm just too curious to see what finally kills it. I own my music. I have 100s of CDs, so I still use my CD player and MP3 player. And, to be honest, I still have about 150 vinyl albums I play on occasion. The great thing about CDs becoming outdated is how cheap they are on eBay now. Albums I couldn't afford brand new 10 years ago are just a couple bucks. There's also a beautiful charm to taking out the booklet in each CD case and reading the lyrics, acknowledgements, and exclusive notes put there by the band. You can't even come close to that with Spotify or Apple Music. I still take a notepad and pen into every meeting. Same. My boss, in his 50s, always laughs at me, but I like having that stuff on paper. In my phone or a tablet, I'll wind up deleting it lol. Still love playing the Nintendo GameCube. Never gonna stop playing Mario Party 7, SS Melee, and Animal Crossing. Some things don't need to be smart when the regular push button or knob version works fine. Simpler and less things that could go wrong. Like kitchen appliances. A kitchen faucet doesn't need voice commands. My air fryer doesn't need Wi-Fi connection, so I can control it from an app. Somewhat related. I named my PC Space Heater, sort of a tongue-in-cheek reference to the fact that it runs kinda hot and warms the whole room it's in. I need to redo the thermals in it. One day, I turn it on and it absolutely will not connect to the internet. Laptop, consoles, everything else work fine. Days of troubleshooting later, I was prepared to reinstall Windows because I had tried literally everything. I mentioned it to my dad one day, thinking maybe he could come up with a solution. Long story short, he saw the name, though the actual space heater in the basement had become sentient, and blocked it from the network. He thought it was hilarious. I have an off-grid cabin in the woods. I have a small PC responsible for recording saving images from security cameras, and also serves as a data logger for my weather sensors. It all runs on Windows XP and it's rock solid. I loved your manifesto. Watches that only tell the time. Maybe the date, too. Yup, I've a lovely inexpensive, bomb-proof analog big face Casio. Can't wear smartwatches at work, so having one would be pointless to me. Big Cass does the job. Physical media in general, DVDs, CDs, video games, books, etc. Yeah, it adds to clutter, but most digital services have it in their terms of service that they can remove content, even paid for, at any time with no refund to you. You're basically paying a float rate to rent it until they can no longer rent it. Come try to remove the physical stuff. It's a felony in most states, and you can have my Buckaroo Banzai Blu-ray when you pry it from my cold and dead fingers. My only gripe with my book collection is when it comes time to move and I have to struggle to move 5 huge plastic tubs of books that weigh like a ton each. I am still transferring MP3s I downloaded from the internet to my phone. I tried Spotify Premium for a year, was not satisfied, and many old songs I like are not available. But by manually downloading FLAC, MP3, or so, I can get many unusual things like my country's flag carrier playlist, remastered bass boosted, remixes, covers, etc. I've got 578 GB of MP3s and still use Winamp. Edit, just to add some nostalgic memories, I remember downloading single songs using dial-up at like 1-3 kbps. And later when I moved to the city and got cable internet at like 50 kbps, I was in heaven. Using F-serves on Mercdalnet to get music. Back then I had a 20 gig HDD full of MP3s and I was amazed. Edit number 2. This is by far the most popular comment or post I have ever made on Reddit. Little did I know how my reminiscing about Winamp would resonate with PPL. N64. My dial phone. I love it and will never ever get rid of it. It's in my kitchen. It's yellow and my grandpa built a little wooden picket fence around it, with fake flowers in tiny clay flower pots. Dude. Post a picture please. A calculator. You know, with buttons and a screen. Honestly, a standard scientific calculator is just easier to use than your phone's built-in scientific calculator. PSP. The PSP was released at such a good time. I think a lot of people don't realize how crazy it was to have a portable device to watch movies on, listen to music and play games on back then. It was released slightly before smartphones became ubiquitous and all of this was taken for granted. It had a great screen too, although I'm pretty sure mine was extremely scratched up before I retired it. Tack on being able to mod it, which was very easy to do back in the day. You could run PS1 games natively on it, as well as a bunch of homebrew software like emulators that run older console games basically perfectly. It was similar to the original XBOX, and how easy it was to soft mod it basically became an insane home media player that you could play video files on and an emulator system. My Zune. I still use it. Yo. I forgot the Zune even existed. I have a story about a Zune. In college, I think I was a sophomore, I found a Zune on the ground. I was, still kinda am, an avid Apple fangirl, so I thought it was radioactive, so I was not about to do anything shady with it. I made found Zune posters and put those suckers everywhere on campus. The cool part was that I was able to navigate it easily and find out who owned it. It helped me verify the owner when he contacted me. The kid who owned it is still a Facebook friend many years later. The Atari Asteroids machine in my basement. I try to play it often as possible. iPod Classic 160 GB. iPods just have aged so well. Being offline devices, not counting touch, they're just so perfect to this day, haha. Been fixing up a few lately. Textbooks bro. Not even technology. Why is everything online now? I need the ability to highlight something. Reading on paper is a thing. I am so glad I have this in an accommodation at my school. A radio. My film cameras. You could even say cameras in general. Most use phones these days. What I would give to have back the headphone jack in my phone. I have a Note 9, 4G only, with the jack, which I am using right now with wired headphones. The day this phone dies or is obsoleted will be a hard day for me. Pencil and paper. I have 2 or 3 notepads around my house for lists. On the farm we still use some old equipment like a 1952 Ford tractor and a ride-on sickle mower for cutting down tall weeds. I plant a couple rows of sweet corn next to the regular corn, so when I plant that corn I use an old row planter that's probably 100 years old. Still works great for planting 600 feet of corn. Both pieces of equipment were meant to be pulled by horses or tractors. We just use a garden tractor. I know a ton of farmers that still use older farm equipment. If you take care of them properly, they can last generations. I love seeing old farmers, deers, international harvesters in the field trucking along. DVDs. Sadly, most modern computers have no drives, so external is the only option. I still had Netflix's DVD mailing service until they ended it last month. They had a pretty good selection, and new movies would be available the same week DVDs were sold in stores. Wired earphones. Cheap, don't have to charge, don't need to worry about losing them. Bring 3.5 back for phones, damn it. I just bought myself a couple of USB-C to 3.5mm adapters, one to use with wired headphones, and one to keep in the drawer for when I lose the one I'm using. 70s turntable. I've a 12-year-old PC that I use often. It had 16 GB installed about a day after I got it, and about a year ago I replaced the HDDs with SSDs. It runs very well for use as a file server and word processing, www, etc. I'm not a gamer anyway, so it's fine. CDs. I still download music. I don't trust streaming sites to always have what I want to listen to. Plus, I have some very obscure stuff that most don't have anyway. I still download cars. A pen. Works just fine when I need it. Sell me this pen. 1996 Chevy Blazer that's nearly at 200k. It's not perfect, needs a muffler, radio sucks, it has a very small gas leak from on top of the gas tank with the fuel pump seats, rear window defrost and wipers don't work and the rear hatch window is missing the piston arms, and it has a constant evap sensor code because of the gas leak, and the tires have a slow air leak, but it's a beast that powers through Midwestern winters with the 4.3L Vortec engine and it's paid for. I'd rather use my MP3 player with wired earbuds than play music through iTunes on my phone. Deleted. iPod Classic, CDs, and DVDs. What can I say? I like owning things. AskReddit.com. Not to mention Riz, to make up for Reddit's lack of basic features. Just got a turntable for the first time recently. Totally unnecessary. I have 1000s of CDs and an Amazon Prime Music subscription, but there's just something about the ritual of playing vinyl that I love. Does everything have to be powered by sensors? I swear that everything I own breaks only because of a sensor gone bad. My car's AC, my washing machine cycle sensors, even the coffee warmer I received as a gift. Maybe I'm old, but I would just like to turn something on, it do its job, then turn it back off. It doesn't also need to blow me. I'm working on a dude's computer today that runs a CNC machine. Had to adjust some BIOS settings for the IO to work right, Slapped a new power supply in there yesterday, good to go. Doos is what I started on as a kid. It still use CMD on Windows occasionally. MP3 players. Work in it. My laptop for use during on-site visits is a Latitude E5510 from 2010. However, it has good specs and a built-in serial port which comes in really handy when consoling internet work equipment. On top of that, some of our clients are in sketchy areas, so it makes a good self-defense weapon. Headphones with the wires. AirPods are uncomfortable, and I hate having to worry if Bluetooth has disconnected while listening to something. A plastic freaking card. I just called Sam's Club and got into a fight with them. I am not using a freaking app on my phone. I want a damn card. A good cast iron pan is still superior to anything that has been invented since. Buttons and knobs. Not everything is better with a touch screen. Looks at my car stereo. I use a double-edged razor to shave and I've just finished polishing my shoes with wax and a stiff brush. In both cases it takes a little longer than using an electric razor or those shoe polishing pens, but I enjoy the ritual and I don't mind it taking a bit of extra time. I've been using a pre-50s Gillette since my dad gave to me in 1984. The money I've saved probably bought my last car. And, oddly enough, I still use his Kiwi shoe shine kit, wooden step box included, from his Air Force days in the 50s. Sometimes older is better. Wired internet connection. I love wires, so much more reliable. Wired networking is definitely not obsolete or outdated, emo. It's superior in every way except mobility. Wired is the ideal, you only go wireless if running cable is unfeasible for the situation. Notebooks. No, I don't mean computer notebooks. I mean those that have sheets of paper collected together and you write with pen. I like pen. Like the G2 gel pens. Feels good.